that decisions made by the Welsh Government have a big impact on the finances of Welsh local authorities. The major levers that local authorities have in terms of their delivering their services, the major levers of funding come from Welsh Government. And it's because of the significance and impact of this funding on our communities that today we are calling for the Welsh Government to commission that independent review of that funding formula. Remember, it's the thing that determines how much funding is provided to each local authority to enable them to deliver those important services that our residents expect. I've raised my concern in the past with some of the data being used and the recency of the data being used to determine that funding, because some of it are decades out of date. This includes the appropriate level of funding to support older people. The Minister will know that the Welsh Government's funding formula assumes that an extra £1,500 a year will be needed to support each person over the age of 85. However, for people aged between 60 and 84, this figure is reduced to £10.72. It's a huge discrepancy. Surely the assumption that providing care for an 84-year-old costs less than 1% of the cost required to care for an 85-year-old shows that the funding formula is not appropriate in its current form. I would have thought it would be much more sensible that the assumed level of funding needed to care for our elderly increases gradually, not at a cliff edge. The funding formula must take the levels of reserves held by local authorities into account. Current level of reserves held by local authorities is around £2.75 billion. It cannot be right that some councils over a period of years have been able to build up significant reserves, some close to £300 million. We know that Rhondda and Taff Council holds around £250 million in their reserves, Caerphilly around £233 million in their reserves, Carmarthenshire around £230 million in theirs. And whilst many of these reserves will be held for good reason, it cannot be right that nearly £3 billion of public money is squirreled away, not being used to support such important public services that our residents rely on.